booth line cutting and sharing of her experiences there. She was more than happy and excited to do that. She's just a gifted young lady, and we're very encouraged to have her, and we're thankful that she is here. So please welcome with me, Deborah Wong, as she comes up here.
Hello everyone, I'm Deborah Wong. It's nice to see everybody here. So I'm just going to get right into it. I joined a youth distribution team last December. We went to Buenos Aires, which is the capital of Argentina. We spent 10 nights there with, we partnered with YWAM, if you've heard of them, and we stayed at their base, and we distributed over 2,000 boxes. And on behalf of Operation Christmas Child and Samaritan's Purse, we just want to thank you for those who have partaken in them and making our boxes and distributing. So yeah, I'm really excited to tell you guys all the things. I only have 5 minutes, so I'm going to be very brief. So I joined 60 other youth across the nation of Canada and 10 from the States. None of us had met each other prior to our trip. We met each other the night before we left. So I was going with a whole bunch of strangers. But we were all united under our love for God and for people, and you know, for those who are hurting. So we went and we just bonded immediately, and what happened was when we got there, we distributed the boxes at different distribution sites every day, which included schools, orphanages, and also small churches. They're very humble churches. They're not privileged like we are here. They're very small. The churches were probably half the size of the stage right behind me. So it was very an exciting experience. We also offered an eyeglass and medical clinic, so we had 2 doctors come with us, which was really good. So that's basically what we did. And at our distribution sites, we also held various programs like skits and, you know, very BBS style kind of days. And so that's kind of like the whole structure of what we did for 10 days. But I'm gonna really emphasize on the impact that we, oh, do we have photos? Yeah. So that's Dr. Neil, he came with us, he was from Calgary. Can I see the next photo, please? Yeah, that's at one of the schools we went to. It was just a whole bunch of children. We didn't know how many would show up. Sometimes we didn't have enough boxes because we would only take about 150 to each site, depending, because we didn't know how many children would show up. Sometimes we only had 20, sometimes we had 300. It was very chaotic, but God did his work, and we ended up giving away all 2,000 boxes that we had. Next photo. Okay, the man on the very left, his name is Carlos Park. He's actually a Korean missionary in Argentina. He is one of the coordinators for all the programs and the distribution sites that we went to. That's his wonderful family, and because he found out that I was Korean, I was actually the only Asian on my team. And then he found out that I was Korean, and we spoke together in my broken Korean, and a little bit of Spanish that I knew. So he was able to give his testimony to us. It's a very, 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 very amazing testimony. I won't be sharing that with you, but he's been in Argentina since he was 13 years old, so he grew up there, and he was a pastor actually, and then he became a full-time missionary, and he invited me and some of my team over to his house for a wonderful dinner. We had a bulgogi. It was awesome. So he just shared with us everything about Operation Christmas Child in Argentina, in Buenos Aires. We got to do the glamorous part. We get to give the boxes to them, you know, everything like that. But we didn't really get to hear the stories that happened, because a lot of us couldn't communicate directly with them. I had very, 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 very bad Spanish, so I could say things like, look at me, or come here, or, you know, Jesus loves you, but that's about it. We couldn't really understand anything that they said, so he was really our connection with the children. I'm just going to show one of many stories that he showed us, and he told us. There's one girl in a small town, and in Buenos Aires, prostitution is very rampant, and it's very put out there, not like it is in Toronto. They publicize it a lot, which was a really big shock to me. They advertised everywhere. It was kind of scary, I think. So there's this one child, her mother was a prostitute. She was only about 12 years old, and she was neglected by her mother. Her father had ran away, and you know, she was neglected also by her community because of her mother, what she did, her occupation as a prostitute. And she was taken advantage by many of the men in her community, And she had very little friends, and she experienced very little love. But at one of the distributions a couple of years ago, a friend of her invited her to a local church where there was a distribution. And she decided to go. And they had their program, they gave out the boxes, and she had never got a single gift in her life, not one birthday present, not even a Christmas present. She said she had never even received a pencil from anybody. And when she received the box, she just started to weep and cry because she realized there was someone out there who loved her, and this was the first time she experienced anything of that sort. And it was a complete stranger. It wasn't her family, it wasn't her community, it wasn't I don't know, her next door neighbor, that kind of thing, our teacher. It was a total stranger who she never met on the other side of the world, maybe. And she just started to weep and weep. And what came with the book was a comprehensive book called El Mejor Regalo, which means the best gift of all, which explains the gift of Jesus. And she totally understood, and she just started crying, and she prayed the prayer, and she accepted Christ then and there. And that's just one of many, many people who accepted Christ. That was an amazing testimony to hear, but it goes further than that. She went home so joyful, and her mother was very, very confused why anybody would give her a gift. So her mom was very curious, and she followed her to the church next week. And then she found out, you know, there are people, there's so much love in this church, there's so much love in God and His family. So her mother actually later accepted Christ as well. And she left her occupation as a prostitute, and she totally changed her life around. So that's just one of many, many stories. And he gave us, Carlos Park, he gave us a couple of numbers. I don't really remember exactly, but he said within 3 years they had 3,000 children accept Christ. That's really remarkable. So that's just one story of 3,000. And he also said those 3,000 went to their friends, their families, and they just shared the love and the message of God, and then they had another 1,000 accept Christ. So really, I encourage you and thank you for the boxes that you guys have made, and really, when we think about it, it's just giving a gift to somebody and putting a smile on their face, but really it is opening the door to Christ and making that road. It's an amazing thing and experience. And I know on the website, any of you who want to partake in these kind of distributions, there isn't anything for adults right now. They had in the past, but they took it off. But there are opportunities if you can, for a group of some sort. You can contact the head office in Calgary, and they're pleased to hook you up with a distribution site. Or if you like youth, spending time with youth like me, you can be a leader with one of the youth distribution teams. We have one going to Trinidad this summer, and also one in December for Paraguay. So yeah, I hope you guys are encouraged to continue doing what you do with Operation Christmas Child, and thank you for letting me share.